Welcome to Fernando's rant of the day. Just getting out of work here. It's been a long day actually. It's pretty tough. Didn't make any sales today. But you know when you're on the right path, or when you found your path, when you don't need pleasure all the time in that path. Right? So if you're seeking out just pleasure from a situation, only pleasure, you know you're setting yourself up for major disappointment. Now, when you put yourself on a path, on a certain path, trying to set a big goal, you accept the good and the bad that's going to come from that goal. So if you're on a path and you're getting frustrated, it's because you're probably expecting pleasure all the time. But it's not that way. Like every path, any relationship that's worthwhile, any career path that's worthwhile, any dream that you're going after that's worthwhile, is going to have pleasures and pain. And your ability to manage that and accept both is going to be a big determining factor with how successful you are. If you're only expecting pleasure from the path that you are on, you're going to be very disappointed, okay? So that was just a little tidbit there, a baby rant, if you will. So what I want to talk about today is the myth of the middle class myth. And Grant Cardone talks extensively about it. I'm going to talk a little bit about what he mentions and add a little bit of my own. But the middle class myth is based on the premise of just enough. Just enough. Think about it. So the middle class is based on averagism, just enough education, right? So I'll get just enough education, and in that education, I'll do just enough study so I can pass the test by just enough, and then I could pass just enough classes so I can get my just enough degree, so I can get my a job that pays me just enough so I can, want to keep coming to work, and I'll do just enough work so I don't get fired, and they'll give me just enough vacation time. But here's the problem with just enough, the middle class and averagism and the average mindset. Average and the middle class does not take into account one thing. What is that one thing? Tragedy. The middle class and average thinking and average action and averagism doesn't take into account tragedies. And one thing we know about life is that sooner or later, at some point, I'm not trying to scare anybody, not trying to use fear tactics, just the reality of life. It's not all pleasure, right? We get pain, we get tragedy. And that's when the average realize the pain of their decisions to do just enough. Now, I've been on that path before too. I was on the average train, right? I was doing average work, getting my average degree, right? I was on the path, so I'm not passing judgment by any means. I'm just trying to share what I've learned over the years about this thing called averagism, okay? It doesn't take into account tragedies. When tragedy strikes, so Grant Cardone had his little daughter come up on stage on one of his talks, and he asked her, hey, tell everyone what you think about the middle class, that thing you told me the other day. And she said, so from what she understands is the middle class are people who think that they're rich, but they're actually poor, right? Why are they poor? So they're not poor in the moment. They're, just average, right? They're middle class until tragedy strikes. When tragedy strikes, they realize how poor they are, right? Like when there's a medical emergency, or if, their industry has a huge shakeup, or their company has a huge shift in their philosophy or in their pay structure or in the way they do business, right? Averagism doesn't take into account these major tragedies. Hey, do you remember 2008 when the real estate bubble burst? Who suffered the most? When the people that were in real estate, all the fucking pretenders suffered the most. Now, I don't mean the homeowners. Yeah, all the homeowners suffered, but they were kind of bamboozled by the real estate developers and the people who were in real estate at the time. And those people that were just average and just milking it, who shouldn't have been in real estate in the first place, the pretenders, they were spit out, completely just demolished. And the people who stayed in the game were the people who were doing it the right way, and the people who were top producing, the people who were doing it right, the people who were not just doing average just to get by, right? Those people, you know, they felt the pain too, but they weren't completely devoured by this huge contraction in the real estate market. They were able to bounce back. And I see this in my job all the time, that people who at the top of their game, when there's shakeups in our company, they're the ones who are fine because they don't base their strategy on just enough. Now, how do we get out of this? How do we break out of this trap? How did I break out of the trap of averages? Because I was there for a long fucking time, right? Here's how you do it. You have to figure out, listen to me here, you have to figure out what your highest values are. What are your highest values in your heart, in your mind? What are the things that you hold in highest regard? That's the first thing that you have to, that's what I had to do. And then second, you have to ask yourself, is my job, is my path, are my behaviors every day in line with my highest values? Are they in line? If you're a manager out there, if you're like a sales manager or like a district manager, listen up here. This is like manna from heaven for managers out there. If your people are lacking motivation, they're not engaged, it's because of one thing. They don't see how the job in front of them lines up with what they hold most valuable. They don't. And if you can help them make those connections, what they're doing every day. See, my managers don't have to motivate me. I don't get my motivation from my managers. I get it from my highest values. And I see the jobs in front of me, the job that's in front of me, how it coincides perfectly with what I hold at my highest value, right? So I've identified my highest value, and then I structured my life, my entire fucking life around my highest value. Some of you have not done that. Why? Because you've based your life strategy on just enough. You're gonna do just enough to get by. And you didn't even consider your highest value. You've ignored that. What you were created for, your highest values, you fucking said, fuck that, I'm just gonna do just enough. Yeah, well, you sacrificed your highest values for just enough. So you won't have that much pain. And what do you get in return for that? A whole lot of pain. A whole lot of fucking pain, okay? So here's how you fix it. Find your highest values. What do you value the most in life, in yourself, in your gifts and talents? And then how can you structure your life, your job, all of your activity during the week around your values, what you value the most, okay? What your gifts and talents are, what you hold in highest regard, okay? This is how you fix it. This is how you get out of that trap of averagism. Now, once you align what you value with your purpose and your actions coincide with that, no one will have to motivate you. You don't have to be motivated every day or get motivated. You're gonna have this drive. You're gonna just take action. You'll be in alignment, and then the universe will start sending you opportunities because you're in alignment. Maybe some people say it's because you start noticing them. Your mind is wired to notice what you value the most, what you're paying attention to. Could be, some people say it's the law of attraction. You just start to attract, the universe starts sending you. Whatever you believe in, you will start seeing synchronicity when your highest values match up to the behaviors that you do every day. Okay, this is how you do it. What do you value most? Identify it, write it down, get it on paper, get it in front of you, self-examine. Some of you don't self-examine enough. You just go like a fucking zombie. Examine what your life is about, what you want to do with your life, what you value most, and then ask yourself, is my behavior every day, what am I doing today to build my life around what I value most? What I value most, not what someone influenced me to value most, not what my parents want, not what my teachers want, not what my boss wants, what you want, what you were created for. And then you will see the universe send you and send you and send you opportunities after opportunities, and you're gonna see it everywhere. And things are gonna start lining up. Okay, this happens. I've seen it in my life. I've heard testimonials upon testimonials of people who've experienced the same thing. Find out what your highest values are and then build your life around that, okay? So have a great night. Be blessed by your highest values, and then get after it. Okay, have a great night. Bye.